It's not easy growing up known. I was born and raised right here in Mount Pleasant. For most people, this wouldn't seem like a big deal. The problem is that most of us townies all know each other. This was especially relevant for my family. Around here, we're all known as the Kopkes. Everyone knew my grandpa, so everybody knew me. My grandfather is Ken Kopke. He was the first athletic trainer for the current model. In fact, he was one of the founders of the National Athletic Trainers Association. We were all expected to grow up and be the next generation of Ken Kopkes. Growing up, I really wanted to go into psychology, but everybody always told me that my grandpa and I were so alike and that there was no doubt that I would follow in his footsteps. When I was growing up, my brothers and I were never really given the option to go out and make stupid mistakes. Most people might think that sounds like a good thing, but mistakes are how we learn. The problem is that with all of us being known as Ken Kopke's grandsons, we were always told that whenever we went out, we were representing the family. So as far as my parents were concerned, mistakes were not acceptable. Because we weren't allowed to make mistakes, nothing ever seemed to be out of place. On the outside, we were the perfect family. This, however, was not the case. Growing up, my brothers and I would go home and lock ourselves in our rooms so we didn't have to listen to our parents fight. We never felt safe in our home because everything we did and said would become fuel for another argument. On top of this, in 2012, my grandma was diagnosed with dementia. She no longer recognizes any of us. To make things worse, in 2014, we lost my uncle to liver cancer, and I was the only one who didn't get to say goodbye. Clearly, we weren't as perfect as everyone seemed to think we were. After I lost my uncle, I lost myself as well. I did things that I'm not proud of. I made mistakes, but like always, I made them by myself. I couldn't talk to anyone because nobody could know the dark secrets of the family. After everything I had gone through, I decided it was time to make a change. I needed to stop living for everyone else and start living for myself. I finally turned over a new leaf. I had spent so long just doing what everybody expected from me that I forgot what it was I really wanted to do. I've decided to pursue a double major in neuroscience and psychology, and eventually I want to go to med school. I've been through a lot of tough times, and those times have forged me into the person that I am today. Even in the midst of one of the hardest times in my life, I'm reminded that the world is mine for the taking. I'm reminded that there is only one person who can define who I am, and that person is me.